comparative analysis across stages. When we view all 6 stages together, a clear pattern emerges. Valuation methods evolve in parallel with a company's maturity. No single metric is universally applicable, each has its moment of relevance depending on where the company stands in its life cycle. Startup, Stage 1. The focus is on vision and potential. Traditional financials are irrelevant because revenues and profits are minimal. The most critical factors are product market fit and total addressable market, TAM. Investors at this stage are betting on the future rather than analyzing the present. Hypergrowth, Stage 2. Once product market fit is proven, revenue growth becomes the key driver. Investors accept ongoing losses as long as top-line growth is explosive. Valuation relies heavily on P/S ratios and growth metrics. Risk tolerance is still high, but the evidence of adoption provides more confidence than in the startup phase. Break-even, Stage 3. Here, the story shifts from potential to evidence. The company demonstrates the ability to cover its expenses, and cash flow begins to turn positive. Investors now balance growth with financial discipline. Forward free cash flow and discounted cash flow models begin to matter, though valuation remains partly speculative. Operating leverage, Stage 4. This is where the business becomes a financial powerhouse. Margins expand as revenue grows faster than costs, making earnings and cash flow highly predictable. Valuation tools, such as P/E ratios, free cash flow multiples, and DCF models dominate. Investor confidence is at its peak. Capital return, Stage 5. The company matures and focuses on rewarding shareholders. Growth slows, but cash flows are strong and consistent. Dividends, buybacks, and payout ratios become the most relevant measures of value. Investors prioritize stability and income over high growth. Decline, Stage 6. At the end of the life cycle, growth disappears and revenues shrink. Valuation pivots to assets, liquidation value, or short-term cash flow extraction. Most growth and profitability metrics lose significance, and the focus shifts to recovery or orderly wind down. When we compare these stages side by side, the progression reveals a valuation arc. Early stages, startup and hypergrowth, rely on imagination and growth potential. Middle stages, break-even and operating leverage, balance growth with discipline and profitability. Late stages, capital return and decline, emphasize cash preservation, dividends, and asset value. The evolution highlights an essential truth. Valuation is not static, but dynamic. Using the wrong tools at the wrong time leads to mispricing. For example, applying a DCF to an early-stage startup is meaningless, just as ignoring dividends in a mature company misses the point. Conclusion. Valuation is often described as both an art and a science. The science lies in the formulas, ratios, and models we apply. The art lies in knowing when and how to use them. Brian Feroldi's Valuation by Stage framework elegantly captures this art by aligning valuation techniques with the natural life cycle of businesses. In the startup stage, the story is all about possibility. Can the company solve a real problem for a big enough market? In hypergrowth, the story shifts to adoption. How fast can the company scale and dominate its market? The break-even stage signals maturity. Can the business sustain itself financially while still growing? With operating leverage, profitability soars, and the company proves its business model on a large scale. The capital return stage reflects stability. Companies reward investors with dividends and buybacks while sustaining modest growth. Finally, the decline stage is a sobering reminder that no business is invincible. Valuation shrinks to assets, liquidation value, or turnaround potential. For investors, this life cycle approach provides a roadmap. It prevents the mistake of valuing every company with the same yardstick. A startup should not be judged on P/E ratios, just as a dividend-paying giant should not be judged on TAM. Instead, the right valuation metric depends on the company's stage of life. Moreover, this framework explains why market participants often disagree on valuation. Growth investors and value investors simply operate in different stages of the life cycle. One sees potential where the other sees risk. Both can be right, depending on timing. The broader lesson is humility. Even the greatest companies of one era, Kodak, Nokia, Blockbuster, eventually stumbled, while others like Apple and Microsoft reinvented themselves to escape decline. Valuation, therefore, is not just about numbers, but about understanding the dynamic story of businesses as living,